the pleasure this year of supporting the UN Climate High-Level Champions as the special advisor. And their role is to mobilize non-state actors into the climate space through what we call the Global Climate Action Space. And we are seeing more and more private sector realizing their role in financing and implementing and in lobbying for the right policies to enable the right climate action. And we're seeing a lot of civil society as well being brought into this space. This year in particular, we have championed through our UN Climate High-Level Champion, Her Excellency Razana Mubarak, the inclusion of indigenous people, including translation services and flying and catering for them in Dubai. This is an issue that was really important to us as we go to COP, because climate action should not be exclusive. It has to be as inclusive as possible, because the real action doesn't just happen at national level. The real action is actually at grassroots. And if we are unable to communicate and to learn from indigenous knowledge and indigenous practices from indigenous people, we are missing out on a big opportunity. Matter of fact, I've been arguing that the right climate action where the world should be learning from is in our indigenous communities, is in Africa, is in Latin America, is in Asia, because these communities have survived. They've survived generations with the agricultural techniques, with buildings. I mean, if you think about some mud buildings that were part of the first Saudi state, you will be surprised to see them still standing. What is it that makes them so unique? What kind of technology should we be injecting into that indigenous knowledge to make the product much more sustainable for today and to make it adequate for the newer pressures and shocks that we will meet? So inclusion is a very big aspect of what we are looking at this year. And then secondly, of course, we cannot go to COP and not talk about the loss and damage fund. But loss and damage fund still, in an aspect, takes us back to inclusion, because the aim of it is to, in layman terms, is to try to pay for adaptation and resilience for countries that contributed less to the emissions that have resulted in this problem that we have, because those countries are the most vulnerable, they are meeting the highest climate shocks, and yet they find themselves overburdened by trying to deal with resilience building from their national budgets. This is unfair. So the call is to make climate finance and climate action to be fair, to be sufficient, and to ensure that there is equity building throughout the process. For young women that are planning to be at COP in Dubai this year, my advice is for you to hydrate. It's a busy program. And be selective, be clear about what your needs are, what your goal is. And once you are clear with that, then you can select the right events, the right networking spaces that will meet your needs. Otherwise, you tend to find yourself in a cesspool of confusion, going everywhere and not really delivering on any of your targets and any of your goals. So intention is what I would say would be the key ingredient as you go in. Prepare your narrative. What is it that is important to you and the communities, the constituency that you represent? How would you like for the global climate action space to respond to your needs and your community's needs? What is it that is so special about the circumstances of where you're coming from and who you represent that should be known in a global climate action space? Because it's important that in the end, we see the global climate space react to the local issues and not just a top-down approach. We need to see a bottom-up approach, and including in the way that we want to tackle climate action. So be intentional, have your message very clear, be prepared to share your story, and be relentless. It's a very tough, competitive space. Everyone would want to speak. Everybody wants their voice heard. Now, the key is what makes yours special.